and mostly gentlemen. Wait, flip that, the other way around. Gentlemen, mostly ladies. Kidding. So today we're going to talk about emergency chaplains and what they do for our community. This will be an informative speech for Liberty University's Speech Communication 101. So there's been a horrible accident and someone you know has died. There is flashing lights with men everywhere, there's guns, and there's first aid equipment. No one is safe from tragedy. No one is safe from horrible things happening, whether it be the loss of a loved one, a car accident, anything like that. For over 6 months, I have trained and served as an emergency chaplain, and in that time, I have been to suicide calls, I've been to accidents of multiple types, and it's one of those things that affects everybody here in Person County, North Carolina. I've studied under an associate pastor for over a year now for pastoral counseling at some point. So I've got a good amount of experience in the field of pastoralship, or at least pastoral training, and then the emergency chaplains. So emergency chaplains are not just a luxury here in Person County, but for the long-term emergency services, emergency chaplains are there for their well-being. Everybody is going to have a time where they need someone to talk to. And during that time period, emergency chaplains are there. Whether it's just after a horrible car accident, just after a suicide, someone at some point is going to need to talk. And whether it be that day, later on down the road, we are available 24/7 for all of our emergency services. So recently, I was at a call where there was an accident at a job. Individual had a heart attack, and he unfortunately died later in the day. He was able to be revived, but he was close to his fellow coworkers. It was a small business, only a few hundred people, and it was hard for them to deal with that. It was hard for them to wake up the next day and find out that their friend and colleague had passed away in the night. So we're there. Emergency chaplains are there to provide aid to not just the emergency services, but those who are affected in those types of calls. In 2018, the emergency chaplains responded to 401 crisis calls. 297 of those were sudden or unexpected death, according to the 2018 Emergency Chaplains Report. Emergency chaplains can help anybody in crisis and in need. This extends beyond the emergency services, but the civilians involved also. In May of 2019, a 12-year-old boy drowned here in Person County at a lake. And while we were there, it was difficult for the family, as it would be for any family. But it wasn't just difficult for the family. The rescue team, the divers, and the boat teams that actually found the young child had significant issues dealing with that crisis. It would be something that they would be affected for months after that. Emergency chaplains were there to help them, to talk to them, and as part of that type of call, emergency chaplains were there for over 3,000 hours logged last year with first responders, and it's calls like that we respond to. We are constantly getting calls to talk to people, and many might ask, well, why would I talk to an emergency chaplain? One of the things that we find out about emergency chaplains are they're not so much different than pastors. Emergency chaplains are bound by chaplain confidentiality, much like pastors are. It's those things that we lead us to experiences. We grow just like everybody else does as chaplains. We hurt just like everybody else does. We see things that we can't unsee, and much like the pastors, we talk to each other, but it's still confidential. confidential. We don't disclose names, we don't disclose specific details, but we do hold ourselves to that high standard of confidentiality. So because of that, we hope that people can come to us anytime, that they can call us. People can call 911 and request a chaplain. It's not something that you have to call us directly for. Most chaplains have that number on the card. Due to a mistake in the printing, I don't have that on mine. But a few things. So why be an emergency chaplain? Emergency chaplains are good to be able to get the gospel out to people, which is our primary mission. Our main mission is to be able to get the gospel into the hands of those in crisis. It's for us to be able to talk about the number one healer, and that's Christ. We can try to do it on our own, we can try to heal on our own, but ultimately, Jesus is going to be the one that heals our hearts. And being a chaplain gives us the opportunity to share the good news with everybody who is going through that desperate need of needing that comfort. So not long ago, we as Americans celebrated the 18th anniversary of the World Trade Center. And one of the things that I was thinking about recently was all of those first responders who were there. And I started asking myself, who was there for that? So the first responders are the first to run into the fire. They're the first to run into danger to help the everyday average citizen. But who's there for them? Who's there for them to talk to? Who's the shoulder for them to cry on? Those are the chaplains. That's what the chaplains are for. So I have a few things. This is the uniform that we would generally wear. Some sort of khaki or black pants, usually some sort of cargo, something nice looking. We have shirts with our emblem on it. We generally run with black or white shirts. Or you can wear something like this. So if you were out and about and you were on call and you didn't want to wear this all day, you could wear a regular collared shirt and you could wear a vest similar to this. And while this may look like a tactical vest, it is. It's tactical for everything I might need it for. In this vest, I have the paper that I would need to write notes for my reports. Every chaplain writes a report on how we affected the scene, names, numbers, so that way we can get in contact with them later, but also so that way we are able to maintain our metrics within the job. I have paper, I have gloves, I have flashlights. I'm even carrying a specific New Testament Bible that I can give to a law enforcement officer. This is specifically focused towards law enforcement. It has notes in here for law enforcement. And these are the types of things that chaplains carry. In my car, I carry a box of stuffed animals. So that way if I go to a call that has a little child, I've got something that I can give that child to show them the love of Christ, even in a small token for them. Every chaplain has their own business card, and we give those to emergency services as needed, we give those to citizens as needed, and it's a way for them to be able to reach out and talk to us as needed. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? Well, I want to thank you guys for sitting here and listening to my speech on emergency chaplains. We are always taking volunteers. Person County needs emergency chaplains right now, so if anybody has a heart for that kind of ministry, you can get in touch with me at any time, and I can get you in touch with our main supervisor who is out of Durham. If that's all, I just want to thank you guys for being here tonight.